Hi everybody, it's Kris here from the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Just to let you know, as always, this podcast is now part of the 90-Minute Football Network and proudly sponsored by www.pt-4-u.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I'm going to start off straight away. Decker, Glory Hunter, we're going to start calling Decker from now on. It's another Newcastle United defeat, which Decker has decided not to join us for because, boys, he doesn't get to say the famous words, and that's all Decker cares about these days, apparently.
It's all about him, isn't it?
It is, yeah. In fairness to Decker, he would have had like 3 years off prior to this little run.
True. He's had a taste of it. That's what it is. He's had a taste of it now. He only turns up when we
have gone
win
straight
games.
to his head, haven't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. As you can see, as you can hear, it's myself, Kris, the other guy, joined by Mark Walker and Stephen Best.
It's me. And I'm Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
It's the Commonwealth of Independent States.
That's the one.
CIS.
Yeah, so we're having a discussion about what we're having a discussion
Our
about.
favourite
Russian
topic.
football
Euro
kits.
92.
Favourite topic.
It started with
Yes.
Russian football kits, then went to Euro 92, and why it was USSR became the Soviet Union, wasn't it? Became the CIS, and that then became Russia and Georgia and all.
There you go.
all the other countries.
There you go. That's a little behind the curtains look at what happened.
It was,
before we
Yes,
press
yeah.
live.
Iron curtain football.
behind the
Behind the iron curtain.
Very, very
Yes.
good.
Yes.
That's excellent. Yeah, very good.
Yes. Right. So I'm going to open it out to everybody straight away. Any questions, we'll go through as many as possible because let's be honest with you, it was Newcastle versus Liverpool at the weekend, but there wasn't much to write home about, really. We'll have a little chat about it before we start going into everything.
It's a
But-
funny one because it was on the normal day that football's generally played on, you would hope, a Saturday. Albeit it was an early kickoff, but it just seems like it was years ago. Even though it's just Monday night, whenever we normally record, and we'll either play on a Saturday or a Sunday, but to me, it just seems like it was donkeys.
Is it because there's been another game in between at St. James's Park as well?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just because it was that game, and we didn't really expect to get anything from it. We were hoping that we might.
A free hit, as people like to call it.
That's the one, isn't it? And I've just never gave it a second thought since.
Yeah, I've not really lost much. I spent much time kind of
Yeah.
dwelling over it out like that. I would have taken a 1-0 defeat before it, to be honest with you. I think Liverpool being what they are at the minute, and we didn't really lay a glove on them. I mean, the man of the match was a bloke that was sold 13 years ago. So
Yeah,
that's kind
James
of
Miller.
Yeah, that's probably the extent of how
What-
good they are at the minute.
What did you make of of him getting booed when he got substituted off?
It happens every time he comes to St. James's Park, James Milner.
I've just
It's-
never.
I think
I don't know if I've noticed it as much, or if just it was a bit more
it was a widespread booing.
vehement. Yes.
Maybe because of his involvement in the goal.
That's the only thing I could put it down to at the time, but it just seemed a little bit
Bit mean-spirited.
strange. I don't know whether
I
people
like
have
Milner, yeah.
got it in for him or what.
I remember the World Cup in like 2010. People were saying, Milner's he's finished now. He doesn't have much, does he? And here he is,
It's not finished. He's English.
12 years later.
I knew that was going.
I love that. I'll watch that
Every time.
all the time. I
Every
love it.
time.
But like, here he is, like 12 years after that World Cup, nearly, and like he's still. I know he's not Liverpool's first choice.
Still offers something,
but
doesn't he?
he's still an excellent player. He'd make our team, our squad, our first team better. I think.
There was a comedy moment in the game as James Milner and John Joe Shelby were involved in a two-way sprint after a ball.
All right, who won?
Well,
I
still
say
chasing
a
it.
sprint in the loosest sense of the word, but they did chase after the ball at a pace,
At a pace.
shall we
He
say.
started off as a winger as well, didn't he? Milner?
did, yeah,
They're,
yeah.
they're very
Back
good
in the
as well.
day,
Leeds and Newcastle. Yeah, I love Milner. I mean, he's been a great pro.
I think Tobias sums it up that you could see the class difference between the two teams, but credit to our lads for working hard. He summed it up really.
It's proper. It sounds like
That's us done.
I remember I played Sunday League for the Satellite in Simonside when I was a kid. I was like 16, 17. And at the end of the season, I barely played. I was shite. I've never really good footballer. And at the end of the season, I got a sportsman trophy. because I turned up every week. And that's kind of what
you got
Tobias
that
was
one,
giving
did
Newcastle
you?
there. It was like,
Did
oh,
you get that award?
Well done.
Aye.
Well
Me,
done.
me, mate Johnny and Nick all got sportsman trophies because we turned up and didn't play. But we're nice lads.
It's like most improved as well.
Aye. They won a cup and I was only Ben, I was 17, 18. And they filled the trophy for the spirits from behind the bar. One sip, I was like, lads, I need to go home.
Was there any shocks in the starting lineup for you, Mark? Obviously, we went
not for us. There was a few for Liverpool.
There was a few for Liverpool, but anyhow, reverted back to the game prior to Norwich, really bringing a few your star players back in, as you could argue. But were you shocked at anybody that was starting? Do you think that some people should have kept the position?
Maybe the only one I wasn't shocked, maybe surprised. He went with Saint up front again, and Chris Wood wasn't playing, which meant that we could then play Willock, Joe, Shelby, and Bruno in there. So
when he said Willock Joe there, I thought he was doing Willock Joe, Shelby, John Joe. Cricketers.
Oh, doing it backwards.
I think just to touch on this as well, and this is from NUFC UK. It says a few months ago we would have taken 17th. Now some fans are annoyed we didn't beat one of the best teams in the world. As Decker mentioned previously on previous podcasts, it's all about expectations. I've seen a lot of people talk about people being unhappy that we didn't get a result against Liverpool. I haven't seen it.
No, I've not either. I've seen criticism of the performance, which fair, you're going to get that. So Maximin's coming for quite a bit again. Rightly or wrongly, I don't have an opinion, to be honest with you. Why am I here?
Decker's not here. There's no point arguing about it, is there?
No, I don't think he's not had a great few weeks, has he? But
who, Decker?
No,
well, he ran that kid over.
He's got the in-laws over. That's what I mean. But no, it's. I think I've not seen a great deal on Twitter. Maybe I'm following the right people or not following the wrong, whatever it is. But yeah, it seems to be in a pretty mature, pretty kind of like what would the word be?
Acceptance,
pragmatic. Like it was Liverpool. Like the Liverpool. Their least important game between now and the end of the season is the FA Cup final.
Okay,
that's the standard. That's who they are. Like, Man City's. If they'd have beaten Liverpool, their least important game between now and it would have been
all four competitions
final.
As well.
Yeah. So like you kind of that's the level. That's where they are. We are still, even with like all the money in the world, which everything we have, well, we're a long way away from that yet. Like,
do you think if Chris Wood had started more, do you think we would have had a bit more of a fighting chance up top? Because
it would give it gives us something to. I was going to say.
Well, what I want to mention on
really
the back of that, there was quite a few times where Liverpool were just taking the piss slightly just by passing it around the back, and there wasn't anybody closing that ball down. The keeper even had it for quite a few seconds at one point, and nobody was closing them down, and the keeper just waited and waited. And I think was Saint eventually started walking towards him. Then he just picked the ball up and started the passage of play again, and that happened a few times. If Chris Wood's on the field, that doesn't happen.
There was vocal moans about that within the ground about people encouraging to go and close them down, get them to put a bit of pressure on and press them a little bit. And it did take a little while for that to kind of filter through. But that one was pretty frustrating, where he's just standing in his box, just no hurry whatsoever, and saying he walks away from it. And then everyone's like, "Well, away, close it down," and then comes back.
That's something that we've commented on a lot over the past few weeks, in particular. Wood, and like not just that he chases down, but he does it like in the first minute. He doesn't. He does it right the way through the game. He's got his a fit lad.
What was the atmosphere like in the ground?
I wasn't there.
Well, you were not there either, but neither went.
Should we just wrap it up?
Yes. It was.
See you next week.
It was very, very flat.
It sounded on TV. I thought,
So it started off pretty decent. Obviously, the flags, yet again,
right. Just to interrupt you, that display and the decision to move the surfer flag to the leasers looked fantastic. Yeah. You got to see that full surfer flag, which has only been used a handful of times in the Gallowgate, and it disappears.
Yeah.
It disappears.
It goes under the roof.
It goes under the roof. The decision to put that in the leasers looked amazing.
Needs to stay there.
It does 100%. And I was quite worried when War Flags started saying that they were going to start dispersing the flags at other parts of the ground.
Yeah.
Thinking it was going to be quite dilute basically what you already get in the Gallowgate with the flags. And what I saw on the TV, and that's the first time I watched a match on the TV this season, it was an absolute spectacular display. It really was.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked
And
really good.
You
the
wouldn't
camera
have seen
angle,
you wouldn't have seen the Milburn in level 7
no,
either, would you? Because
no.
obviously that's behind the cameras, so because that's obviously the first time that had it up there. And not Liverpool brought probably the largest crowd that I think we've seen this season. So that was full. It was right around the corner with the home fans into there. And there was only a very, very small strip that wasn't taken. So it was a full house, and the flags were all up in level 7. Obviously, it is when you are trying to fill the full ground with flags. It isn't going to have that much an impact as when they're all kind of
compact in one area,
in either one stand or in the east stand and stuff like that. But I think that the idea to get them into the different places, there's obviously been a lot more donations and stuff like that to increase the number of flags. But getting that big one in the Leazers, I mean, it's the first time I've been able to see it because we've always been behind it or under it or to the side and stuff like that. So
it's something that
unreal.
I think the flags have really contributed to. Which gate was either Leicester or Palace at home. And because we stand, where I stand in the corner, but on the east stand side of the corner, and it was the Leicester game, I remember. And the Gallowgate made a load of racket, and the whole stand felt like. And normally the Gallowgate's like you have that singing section right in the top corner by the Milburn, like the corner, like you're on one end, and we kind of almost book in the corner, don't we? But the whole Gallowgate was like, "Oh, that's not happened. I've not known that happened for years." And like I wonder if I kind of think is that part of the idea, or is that one of the little kind of fringe benefits of the flags, is that it's getting more areas of the ground involved in the atmosphere, because level 7 isn't in the east, the Milburn and the east stand actually on notoriously kind of vociferous, vocal, loud areas.
There was actually a couple of times, because it's always the corner that starts off the chance, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there was a couple of times during the match where there was chance started away to the left in the Gallowgate. Even the Leazers a couple of times started them off.
I think this is where we'll come back to the acoustics of St James's Park, because the Crystal Palace game, that's what it was. That one where Miggy scored? Is that a Palace game?
Palace, that was.
So Crystal Palace game, I was at Platinum Club, and you did hear level 7 a lot more than what you normally do in our normal seats in the Gallowgate, and there was at times where they were starting the chance, and it was slowly working its way around to the likes of the corner. But I think because we're in that compact space and in where we sit, well, 3 were sit basically, it always seems like that's where it's generating the noise.
It feels like everywhere.
But you move elsewhere, it's different pockets everywhere now.
I used to sit in the Leazers back when the second time they finished second, 96, 97, and it was loud. It was like right next to the away fans were in that way. Within that corner, one of the corners. I remember in our Dean Ford.
There used to be 40. In the
4-3 against Villa. With Dwight Oaks scored the hat trick. His dad got locked up. His dad got taken out. He was because if away fans were like there, and his dad was giving a 6 out. So
they were in the opposite corner of the Leazers to what they are now.
Aye,
like where the bend is.
40's granda. I was talking to 40 a few weeks ago on the Metro back. His granda, Harry, he's long gone now. Lovely bloke. We used to go with Ashley, like me and my dad, like the lads, and Colmac being the lads. Tong, Kris was like playing at the time, and whenever Harry went for a piss, was scored. So before the game, how are you an extra pint? How come beers mate there? Every time I went for a piss, they scored. I'm sure he would have been like player of the season if they'd known. Like, now to do with Shearer, Ginola, Gillespie was Harry Ford. No, God bless him.
But it was a strange atmosphere because normally for that type of game, like everybody's well up for it, and you know that there's plenty of atmosphere. To be fair, like you could hear the Liverpool fans a few times as well, which you generally struggle to where we're sitting.
It goes over the top of the stand, I think. Yeah.
But there was a few occasions where you could audibly hear them, which is unusual. But it was just sporadic bits of songs. There wasn't any kind of constant singing, even in the corner. So, and I don't know whether it was just because it was a weird game. Like we kind of just tried to frustrate them a little bit, didn't we? It
was lively 10-15 minutes to start with.
It started all right, and then
I know that correlation doesn't necessarily imply causation, put that flat atmosphere and we weren't there, mate. That's why.
I think
the only reason.
I think it had more to do with the fact it was a 12:30 kickoff and everybody had to get out of bed and didn't have time to get tanked up.
Well, rumor I hear Tom was
been-
rammed at 9 o'clock in the morning.
It was absolutely heaving.
Have you not been to a derby game?
Absolutely heaving. It was ridiculous how busy town was like.
Right, I'm going to go straight through some of the questions. So if people do have questions, just fire them our way and we'll go through as many as possible tonight. Dick, I'll be gutted that he's not here because he loves a good question and answer. That kid
He does that
doesn't he?
all the time. Oh, well, we'll say that 10 minutes.
He loves a good
He
question
does
and
like
answer. This is from Aditya. He says, Mark, Decker, and Kris. Almost. You've got Mark, Besty, and Kris.
He's sitting there going, fuck me, Decker's looking rough. He's had a good weekend.
So he says, this is Besty, by the way, not Decker.
He's the one that normally sits on the end and dances around. And
He
That's
says,
him.
that's
why I
probably
don't
'cause
see you.
drift
You're
off.
out of shot.
Maybe it's like, oh, yeah.
He says, many fans were complaining that the ref was awful against Liverpool. I think he had a decent game, to be honest. Your thoughts? So initially, I'll go. The challenge between James Milner and Fabian Schär. Initially, I thought free kick all day long.
Yep.
Then, obviously, they show the replay straight away after they concede the goal, and you can tell. To me, that's never a free kick.
Nah, not at all. It's a really good challenge. It's a great challenge.
So this is where the disparity of being at the game, watching it live versus being at home, watching it on the telly with the benefit of
Because you
the
could
replays
hear the
and
fans
stuff like that.
weren't happy with that.
It was a foul all day, like
In the
at
ground.
the match.
Yeah.
Watching it. Like obviously from where we are as well, it was at the opposite kind of end of the pitch on that diagonal towards that corner. And I think when you see the replay back, you can understand like why it looked bad at the time.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was like,
absolutely.
His leg goes under, Cher's reaction, he stays down injured and all of that kind of thing. But once we got to half time and we saw the replay, obviously we've seen all yous in the chat saying never a foul and all that kind of thing. But it's just one of those where when you're at the game, it literally did feel like that the referee had a shocker.
Here we'll go
And that
again.
every decision that he was given was the opposite of the way that it should have went and stuff like that. But again, that's from not having the benefit of being able to see the replays, clearly seeing the ball, like close-ups of it happening and that kind of thing. So it's one of them, isn't it? Like I think the majority of people that were there thought he was poor, and the officials as well, the lines people. Whatever you call them these days. Assistant refs. That's it.
Yeah, to be fair,
Grandad.
the goal was decent. To be fair as well,
I did really well.
I
It's a
thought
good move.
Target could have done a bit better because he just let him drift off. I think I could comment. It must have been on Match of the Day that the pinpoint, obviously Target shouldn't have been looking, because the way Target was positioned is as if that he was waiting for a player to run round on the overlap.
We'll try to send him down the line. Maybe.
Yeah, basically, but there's nobody there. Then obviously he just cuts in. He keeps on going. Then it's a fact that the two players run to the line, then they just separate as well.
Yeah.
Then the ball just goes straight through them. It's a great goal. I've seen a couple of people, not many, but a couple of people, Besty, criticising Fabian Schär for staying down, saying that he's got this in his locker, but he was injured.
I mean,
he's gone off just after half time.
He does do that. He does often. I think if the chips are down or he's made a mistake or he thinks he's been hard done by, he does sometimes stay down. And I must admit, I was sitting at home thinking like, I think it's a good tackle. It's crack on, like get on with it. If you're going to criticize him, maybe criticize him for holding the ball too long. I can't even remember if he did that. If Milner's got the chance to kind of whatever, but nah, not for me. He was knackered. He was injured. I don't know.
I think they're both running for the ball, and I think Milner just
got
gets
there
to
first.
it.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it's because he
didn't hang on the ball too long. So
his leg kind of went underneath him, didn't he?
Yeah,
on the slide, and I think it's just
don't
probably
think you can really blame anyone.
bent it, twisted it.
If that's all I can remember, him losing it. But if Milner just happens to beat him to the ball and he's injured, then if you're injured, you don't get up because you're injured. You know. I think Target's trying to show your man down the line, so I'm not too worried. It's just a good goal. Maybe things could have been different, like, but
No, I'm in fully agreement with that one.
I think again, what was kind of contributed to the reaction within the ground was that all of the players were rushing over to the referee and stuff like that, and they were going to Cher and they were pointing like as if there was like stud marks or something like that on his on his legs or boots or something like that. But
what I will say, maybe in support of the fans, I feel a bit hard done by, was James Milner later in the game stayed down after having headed the ball. And the game got stopped. The game got stopped because and you can see Jordan Henderson's out a head injury. He's headed the football, mate. Like the game didn't get stopped for Hayden at Anfield, and it's. I think an accumulation of all those things. There's this kind of narrative that Liverpool tend to get a lot of decisions. I think they do.
Yeah, they do.
You look at the penalty that didn't get given at Anfield, and again, I say Hayden staying down and Mike Dean running in front of the shot, basically screening the shot, the third goal at Anfield.
Then obviously not even to mention that the Isaac Hayden went down with a head injury, and they scored. From that
was the first one there. So I think there's an accumulation, that kind of thing, that makes people think, well, hang on a second, this isn't, this is typical same old Liverpool. But then I saw a video on Twitter today of a Liverpool fan crying. You seen that one?
No,
because of some perceived injustice regarding a handball against Man City. Like Man City, it hits I forget which Man City player is there, and the kid's like, "Oh, it's disgraceful. The treat Liverpool." He didn't tears the ball. This Irish I'm thinking, how it, mate? Like, it is not. But it goes to show that, I suppose, the point I'm making, I'm trying to make it terribly, but is that every fan could point at. I remember when we came straight back up, and there was a red card a couple of red cards at Huddersfield that we didn't get. Someone stamped on someone. Matt Ritchie got kicked in the head. It was like, oh, it's terrible. It's a conspiracy. It's not. It's just referees are shit.
Yeah.
Although I'm kind of in this instance, I don't think he did that badly. I think
there was a moment in the first half where Liverpool had a shot, and it took a massive deflection and went out blatantly for a corner.
Yeah.
And the referee gave a goal kick.
Yeah.
Aye. It's conspiracy.
How are you?
To be
fair,
fair,
point it with a dozen things in the game.
Yeah. To be fair, it didn't really take the ball off course. That I think it just knocked it down.
Well, it did where we were.
I thought it did.
Do you reckon?
Where we were sat.
I didn't think it'd change its course much, that one, because it hit the underside of the player's thigh. I think it was.
Well, where we were sat, he took a shot and it literally was going, and then it went off like that. And then he points to the goal kick. We're like, I don't know, he's got that one wrong.
I think there's a few things where he gave a lot of soft free kicks to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
A lot. And there's a couple of times where there's one in the first half where Saint controls the ball and he's just getting wrestled, pulled back. Then he loses the ball. Then the referee just plays on. Then I think it was Match of the Day that pointed out that saying that Saint was kicking off with the players around him. And it wasn't the case. He was kicking off on the ref.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was Match of the Day. I might be wrong, but it was one of them.
Jermaine Genius and Danny Murphy on Match of the Day. So
I can't, it might have been Genius, to be fair, saying that it's not great kicking off with his teammates doing stuff like that. But he wasn't at that point. There's once he kicked off where he wanted the ball down the line.
Yes.
And it just came centre.
He was pointing at, he had a good share. I think it was actually he played long balls.
Is that who it was?
I think so.
Yeah. And you saw that wing back position was probably where we could have got the most joy with Saint running down there. But every single time it just kept on coming inside.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? With Liverpool, it's always like Trent Alexander-Arnold's obviously a brilliant wing back, but defensively, people go, that's the point of his game, which is weaker. He's brilliant going forward and he gets all these assists and stuff, but defensively, you can get at him. And we just didn't seem to really fancy it.
Well, that's where I thought we might get a bit of joy getting in behind the fullbacks because they do like to get forward.
He wasn't playing as well.
I think.
Was he not? Oh, shit, really?
It was,
bollocks.
He was on the bench. Robertson played on.
If I don't go to the game, I'm useless.
It was, but it was actually Liverpool's game plan.
Is this live?
That ruined us because and I think that this is what really made us struggle within the game is they played everything really, really tight through the middle of the park, which meant we had to kind of come in to match that. And then that did leave like the gaps for their fullbacks to get forward. But because the three that they had playing in their midfield were very comfortable on the ball, probably a bit more defensive minded, they just kept it, and then they knocked it, and we just didn't get our midfield into the game. Willock was a little bit invisible until probably a bit later on, kind of when he was mainly chasing down and stuff like that. And I thought that was the obvious substitution at the time, which did then happen. But I think it was just the way Liverpool went around things with narrowing the pitch that ruined our midfield and didn't allow us to.
It's those
use any
diagonal balls honestly, Van Dijk was just pinging the balls
Every
onto
game.
the width. Like, it was mental.
Like, I remember Brighton had loads of joy. I tried to do that a lot against, I think, Palace. It was. They always did it as well. That seems to be what people score, like, get at the fullbacks. Predominantly,
the space that they had was crazy. And at times, it was like they were bypassing their own midfield out and just pinging them onto the wings.
And that's because of that very narrow midfield that they had, and then they just let Robertson.
And I think, do you know what it is? Like, I know Van Dijk's a great footballer, and I've always appreciated that, but
he was brilliant.
He looked unbelievable on Saturday.
There was so many times where
it's funny because he wasn't really being challenged by somebody like Chris Wood or somebody like that.
But even that, like when there was a couple of times where like Saint was all over the back of him and stuff like that. And he was just he just brushed it off. He was just so strong.
Really a good side,
comfortable. Like
a really good side.
Gone under the radar a bit, like, but like every time I watch him, he just seems to get
better and better.
Yeah,
he's a fantastic I don't think people footballer.
Appreciate really how good he is.
The amount of times that the caught offside as well.
Yeah,
when 2 or 3 of those was one, the one where Miggy had the goal disallowed.
Such a high line up play.
Wood was through as well a couple of times, wasn't he?
Well, there's one, and both of those ones were the 2 examples I had in mind actually, where we've taken half a touch too many. Sissoko, I've mentioned this a few times. Sissoko when Cisse was here. No, you're more Sissoko for them. But when like we had Sissoko would take half a second too long to play the ball down to Cisse, was one I think might be Bruno for the Miggy. No, I think that was for the Chris Wood one. Either was one of them where like you can see the run on telly. It's easier to see than in the stadium, obviously on the pitch. But like you think now, and Miggy whoever it was went. And then the ball came, it's like that little.
Yeah.
It happened for the Wood one as well, where obviously hits it straight at the goalkeeper, but like it's just that little bit of apprehension, almost like apprehensiveness, where you think of more confident,
be a bit more brave,
maybe a slightly better, put it through, and then you've got a chance. Because Miggy scored his. I mean, Alisson didn't stop, the defenders didn't stop, and he was well offside, and just that little. I'm not saying we'll win the game because of that, but it's just one of those little things where you think, oh well, lads. But then Liverpool worked it really, really well. Aside from those 2, we got caught off like loads, absolutely loads. It's just that they're a good side. I mean, it's like I say, a 1-0 defeat against them at home. There's not really any shame in it. It wasn't. We didn't really lay a glove on them. For me, we had that. Bruno had a shot late on. Other than that,
one of the points I wanted to touch on, it's been mentioned a couple of times in the comments, was Sadio Mane's. When he attempts to win the ball, then he comes down, studs up on Dubravka's thigh. Well, top of his knee, really, isn't it? My opinion on that is that you've seen them given. I don't personally, I'm not annoyed that he wasn't shown a red card, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he gets a red card. It's one of those instances. But Mane's got this in his locker. He's done this a few times, hasn't he? With studs up challenge, and he always gets away with them because I think it's because he's so fast and he's always trying to win the ball. Then he just obviously connects to me. It could have went either way.
It looked bad.
But I'm not annoyed
at the time because obviously it was right in front of us at the Gallowgate.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting that ball. Not in a million years was he getting that ball, but he still chucks himself in for it. And I think again that is a part of the frustration, is because the referee didn't even really bother with it. It was only because Dubravka went down that he then stopped and
did VR
kind of going. Well, they must have, but I don't know what like.
But it wasn't stopped, was it, for?
No.
There's a comment in there saying it's not a red. He's going for the ball. How many red cards you see when a player's actually going for the ball?
Most of them.
He was very late. He was out of control. Yes, there's not major contact there. He hasn't, gone like proper studs into his leg. It was just an awkward follow through. Almost, it's a bit like when you see players like when they do that scissor action. Yeah. It was kind of like that.
What have you been watching?
not that kind of scissor action.
It put me in mind a little bit of actually Mitrovic got sent off a couple of times for us and I was watching it at the time. I thought, there's nothing in that. And the more replays I've seen, same as you, Chris, that can be given. That I'm not saying that again. I'm not like furious that he wasn't sent off or anything like that, but I don't think they could have had too many complaints. If the referee sent him off, I don't think it would have been overturned. That's kind of that's something that we apply as now, unofficial type of thing. But yeah, mine is a couple of times Mitrovic against, I think, Arsenal one year, and I think Tottenham actually, that's game. No, not Tottenham, that was a bad one. But like where he got sent off for probably less than that.
I think
Certainly the
again,
Arsenal one.
Dubravka's reaction probably saves him a little bit because he doesn't flip over, he doesn't start rolling around the floor, making a meal of it like you would see some players and some goalkeepers doing.
I think it's. I wasn't upset that he wasn't sent off. Now I'm not like outraged, but looking at it,
it was a stupid challenge. It was a stupid, dangerous challenge, and that's why potentially it could be a red card.
Do you know what? It sounds daft, but if that's a challenge on an outfield player in the middle of the field, I think he gets a red for that.
Strange
did
one,
he
isn't
even
it?
Get booked?
I
don't think he did.
No, he did.
Nothing. No.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because with it being a goalkeeper, Dubravka's taking the ball at waist height anyway, and if you don't often go for a challenge that high, so maybe there's that, but that shouldn't. Maybe that should make a difference.
He's got every right to go for the ball. Of course he has. Of course he has. But it's obviously
I feel as though he could pull out.
It's when you see it, how even real time watching it, when you see how late he was towards the ball, that was the thing for me, and that's why I couldn't understand why the referee didn't give a free kick.
There's a shout there saying that he did get booked. Yeah, he got a yellow for it. To be fair, it's one of those. But like I said at the very start of this, that yes, you've seen them given. I'm bang on the fence with this one. Like I'm not annoyed that it wasn't given, and I wouldn't be shocked if it had been a red.
Yeah, that's where I was. Agreeing on so far too.
I think that a couple of the stills probably make it look bad because it looks like his studs are going into his thigh and stuff like that. I don't know whether it's because I don't think his studs did go into him and down or anything. That's so I think it's maybe the angle,
literally on top
of it. I know, but I think it's maybe just the angle that the photo was taken from.
It's hard to tell from a photo, isn't it?
Yeah.
An action like that, like where I remember the Palace game and people are going on like Luke Edwards, the handball. Dan Burns found him when he fouled this lad and he's handballed it. He hadn't. It's just because they photographed the angle where it was.
Yeah, of course.
You can't always tell. It's I don't think it's much of it. Again, as I say, I think if he'd been sent off, it wouldn't have been overturned. But well, there we are.
I don't think it would have made any much difference.
Of course, it wouldn't have.
No.
Well, it might have for Liverpool's title chances.
Potentially. Wouldn't help us, though, would it?
Next question is from Jack Lad. We're going completely off topic here. That says, would you be open to rival fans being moved to pitch side? I know it was meant to happen a few years back, but it never actually happened. The reason why it didn't happen, we are the only Premier League club not to allow this to happen, because the rule was every away fan had to be pitch side, didn't it? They couldn't do it at St. James's Park for security issues. They couldn't split the concourse, apparently.
Yeah.
We've seen it before, though. We've seen it in European games.
European games,
small allocation.
The corner, don't they?
Use the corner of the Milburn and Leazes, yeah.
And I think that's just because with the FA Cup, you kind of close parts of the ground because you're not necessarily going to get a sellout at that time when we are playing. And then the same with the European.
Well, the corners themselves are segregated off as well because they've got them concrete walls down, haven't they, between the stands. So
but that allocation isn't a big enough allocation for a Premier League team.
That's the problem.
They could. All you've got to do
they would have to spend money to do it.
Not put me in the East Stand, you could.
The East Stand's going to be far too big of allocation, though.
No, you give them half East Stand and you could cordon off the seats.
Oh, you'll have to brick a wall up.
Nah, you would have to just put some barriers up. Low coppers.
What, in the concourse?
Yeah.
In the concourse?
Yeah.
Really?
Nah, you'd have to put a wall up in the concourse.
You'd have to put a wall up.
Just put a stud wall up.
A stud wall.
I'll do it.
Put the All Sports Direct signs up.
I'll just bang them up.
I've seen it in the Leazes where they have got a wall up, but it's got a door in where they've belted it down and tried to get through it a few times.
So I'm not sure if there's any plans to make that happen.
I think Sunderland were the
this
same.
This must be the third season that.
I think Sunderland had the same thing where they can't have them by the pitch either because they used to be behind the goal, didn't they? But now it's up in it was for a bit up in similar to ours, but obviously not as high up.
To be fair, Sunderland haven't been a Premier League team since that came into play. So it's only Premier League clubs, I think, that have to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's also because of the
I'm sure there's someone else.
Like before and after the game, obviously the segregation of getting in and out of the stadium. Because obviously it's the back turnstiles of the Leazes
that would
where
be
they
the
go
thing
in, isn't it?
With doing it in the East Stand, you come out on
coming straight
Leazes
out
terrace
there
down
on
the side.
terrace, yeah.
And like either turn left and go behind Leazes Park and get filled in.
You've got nowhere to go, have you?
Mind, I suppose the same applies to Leazes, like. But
what do you think it would do for the atmosphere? Make it even better?
I probably. Yeah, I don't. It would be weird not seeing Newcastle fans by the pitch, even like in the the mid to late 90s, they were still like in a second tier, weren't they? They were never down. In my memory, they were never really by the pitch.
It used to be, well, they were in.
I'm trying
We're
to
in the
think
Leazer's East Stand corner down by the pitch, and they were in the corner.
The corner. I'm trying to think before the was built up, so like late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember. Mark, I'm too young.
Once the stands were built, definitely during the 80s and 90s, they were in the East Stand Leazer's corner.
Aye.
And then when we were redeveloping it, they got moved into the Strawberry corner.
Yeah, I can't remember that. I think I was only a bit.
There's always a scoreboard, lad, so they were right next to it.
Will you be in favour of pitch side?
No,
Absolutely
not.
Why?
I don't want them to influence their own team.
They do though, surely.
The problem, you've just said, sitting in the Melbourne stand, you could clearly hear the away fans. So I dare say that the players can hear them anyway.
So where the fuck are they? Yeah, I thought it was 3,000 coming here today.
But no, I want that bottom bowl of St James's Park to remain a sea of black and white.
It's nice,
scarves, flags, everything.
It's. I'm glad it hasn't happened, and I hope it doesn't. I can see the benefit. I can see it maybe considered unfair or what, like. But I mean, it's different because we, not to be one of those attendance people, would generally speaking do fill it. And I mean, since the takeover, I think for foreseeable future, we will be filming it as well.
There's a comment there by Robert Murray that says Old Trafford doesn't feel like it's pitch side. I think you've got the disabled section of Man U fans
just in front in the corner.
The away section just behind that, and it's in a corner, isn't it?
Aye.
I was up near it, yeah. Last time I was up near the back anyway, like, but aye.
It has it not changed now because they've got the standing seating things now.
Are they one of
the clubs that got it?
Yeah. I was there the 4-1 when we got beat when Matty scored. We pumped in the second half.
Well, sure with.
Is he Manchester lad? Like a Lancashire? Oh, no, I'm thinking about John Shuttleworth. And I was Boxing Day and I was down with my sister-in-law's for Christmas. Like, she lives in North Wales. I've heard her dad's a season ticket holder at Old Trafford, big Man U fan. From the area, like, so it's all right, it's allowed. So I went up with him. Like, I went to his house in Chester. We drove up and still had a few beers. But I couldn't drink at the game because I had to drive back to Wales that night. Like, North Wales, so it's not that far really. But I was like, everyone was like mortal because I think it was a tea time game on Boxing Day. So everyone's got their Christmas drinks and they've got their Christmas gear. And I'm stood there like with a Snickers and a bottle of Coke. And I thought, fuck, I feel like a copper. Like undercover, that long, like that mat I've got. I'm double stuck. Shit.
That just reminds actually half time. The concourse was ridiculous. You couldn't get moved. I couldn't get the ball. That's how busy it was.
That's to be fair. I love St James's Park, but the concourses are
terrible.
Oh,
they're so under.
I feel claustrophobic me when I go on that concourse all the time.
Not understaffed, but they're just so like under.
There's not enough. There's not enough concessions.
There aren't enough concessions.
Not enough concessions,
and that's something that even if they had those like pints that filled that quickly, like that would make a difference.
Bloody pints again, over.
I love those pints, mate.
Well, that's why they've started having the bins at the bottom of the stairs, haven't they? They've got the bins full of ice and bottles.
I very rarely hang around the concourse. I'll go half-time beer out. But there's still got people with the backpacks full of like, nah. That was good, that. Bottles of Orchard Hill and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I've got the bins at the bottom of the stairs now.
Yeah.
Full of ice, but
they put them at the bottom of the stairs.
It's cash only.
Cash only.
Cash only for the bins.
For the bins. You think they'd give them how you've got 30 people wandering around in the old George courtyard with little things to tap your card on to buy.
Whenever I say cash only, I think I'm money laundering. I'm not accusing Newcastle United of that.
Yeah, well, there was that tax investigation by the revenue, wasn't there?
Oh, that's a good point. Many things that have been accused of the owners. Not accused.
Former owners.
I think the present owners. There's a charge sheet there, but I'm not going to add. With me one safety in mind, I'm not going to add money laundering to that. List of accusations. Can we move on?
Yeah. Move on.
Don't put your reputation on the block.
No, that happened here.
So next one, this one is from Emerald FM. We're moving on. He says, does Wood come back in for the next game?
Yes.
Man City, isn't it? Man City on Sunday. Is it the 4:30 kickoff? It's 4:30. What time are kickoffs these days on a Sunday? So 4:30.
4:05, isn't it?
Is it?
It is 4:30.
It's 4:30.
Was not that you think of the 2 random one that I started doing on
No,
Sunday.
they did 5-4 ones a
Did
few
they?
years ago on Super Sunday.
Super
Aye.
Sunday.
That's what it used to be, but now because they've got 3 games on,
There's a 2 one,
rolled
isn't there?
Rolled it back a bit, haven't they? So they've got the early, the mid, and the late.
I seen Tottenham hadn't played a home game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday for 2 seasons now.
Is that true?
Apparently so.
That'll be because of the Europa League, though, won't it?
Well, not just because of that, I wouldn't have thought.
Now they play on a Wednesday. They can still play Saturday at 3 o'clock.
No, Europa plays
Europa
on
League.
Thursday.
Thursday, isn't it?
I mean, it will have had a sort of effect on us, but you think over the 2 seasons, 38 home games, they've been in their stadium for 3 years now, so it's not as if
No,
it's like Wembley half a season type of thing.
Yeah, they don't play Europa every single week either.
and it'll not be because of you kind of play on the same day as your near rivals, because we used to have that, didn't we, with
The Sunderland. Yeah,
Mackens.
I think they'll have that with with London. Have they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
play
loads of
same
times
day
that
now,
Newcastle
yeah.
and Sunderland both played at 3 o'clock
I
on Saturday.
assumed
I think
that
that's
was
'cause
just
the
because
police-
of their current situation, rather than
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
well, and the police, you've hardly got any police at the games now compared to what you used to have. You've just got loads of stewards.
So, question: does Kris Wood come back in?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, anyway.
Who drops?
Willock.
So, Joe.
Go back to your 3 of
yeah,
Bruno,
3 back in the
Shelby,
middle.
and
Yeah,
Phil.
you know what it is. I like Willock, but I think that's probably what I would do as well.
I was really surprised Dwight Gale didn't play if he was going to be dropping Wood.
I don't know if I
What,
am
against Liverpool?
Yeah.
Really?
If he's not playing Wood,
He's got, he's got history against them as well, though, and he has Dwight.
Yeah.
It's got the
but we played centre up front against Liverpool at Anfield as well, didn't we?
can't remember.
I can't remember. That was that long ago. I can't even remember.
It's a lifetime ago. Was that pre-takeover?
Thanks,
Shelby scored, didn't he?
thanks, Rob
He
Fish,
did.
for becoming a member. If anybody else wants to become a member, you can do so for as little as $2.99 a month.
Rob
so
Fish.
thank you
Did
very
Rob
much.
Fish not used to be a member?
Maybe he just came back. Maybe he's rejoined. So we're all in agreement that Wood comes back in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You,
Okay.
you need, if not just a bit of a focal point, just to have somebody to aim up front. It's that bit of closing down, putting pressure on, and we know that. Christ, after that, you know how much Man City love to keep the ball. So we need to put a bit of pressure on them, because if we struggle to close down and press Liverpool at the weekend without him up top, then it's going to be a million times worse against City, because they'll just hold the ball and pass it around and pass it around and pass it around.
I know we will be doing a match preview at some point during the week, but because we've started chatting about the Manchester City game, that game worries me. It really does. I think they're a better team than Liverpool, and I think they create a hell of a lot more chances than what Liverpool do, and I'm a little bit worried. I'm
not worried, but only in that I've resigned myself to defeat anyway.
Okay.
So
what scoreline would you think would be acceptable?
Anything less than 3-0.
Okay, so 3 or less.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was as well. I was thinking 3 or less.
Because when you get past, just generally speaking, like 3-0 is a heavy defeat. If like Leicester beat you 3-0, Leicester beat you 4-1, didn't it?
I was just about to say that.
if Sunderland beat you 3-0, as well. If someone around you who isn't like an exceptional team, streets ahead of everyone else, beats you 3-0, then you think, well, that's a heavy one.
Didn't Brighton beat with 3-0 twice last season?
Yes, I believe they did.
Brighton used to batter him, man.
Yeah. But I think Liverpool, Man City, 3-0's not a good result. It can be 3-0's never a good result, is it? But it's like, it's acceptable.
That's the sort of result I was expecting against Liverpool, to be honest with you. I thought they would have got a couple at least.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying we
game.
didn't do that badly against them, because we did until later on when they made a lot of changes. Then they did start getting a few more chances. We limited them.
I'm assuming
quite a lot.
Dubravka got Newcastle's man of the match. I couldn't think of anyone else, because he had a great game, especially in that second half.
Yeah,
did really well. And Liverpool was
Bruno was good again. He was tidy, strong on the ball and stuff. But
Liverpool were it wasn't their first team, was it? We've already established that trend.
Yeah, midfield.
Salah didn't start.
Salah was dropped.
Did Firmino play?
No, he's injured. It was Jota, Diaz.
Came on though, didn't he? Came on at the end.
And
Him and Salah came on. It was double sub.
Salah definitely came on.
It was double sub. Both of them came on.
Firmino come on, did he?
Sure, he did.
Can't remember.
No, was it not?
I thought Trent played, so.
I'm sure it was Firmino that came on. I might be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure Firmino came on. Rob Fish says he's a long-time watcher, first-time member. Keep up the good work, lads. Right.
Cheers, Rob.
It was like the Flash and Blade there, wasn't he?
Next question is from Callum Lewis, also a member of the channel, says, I was watching the Leeds game and I was thinking, would you lads have Rafinha at Newcastle?
He's good, isn't he?
He does seem like a good player. Yeah, I think I would.
He's gone. Apparently, he's been linked with a move to Barcelona, though.
How much sure he went there doesn't really mean that you're a good player, does it?
Yeah, their stock's pretty low at the minute, Barca, isn't it?
But I think if
it's the name, innit?
They've had a good
if
run.
Barcelona comes in for you,
yeah.
If Barcelona comes in for you, it's
you're going 100%. You're going,
and
to the name.
Bruno got linked with Real Madrid, and I thought no matter what Newcastle United's project is at the minute, if a club like Real Madrid comes in for any one of your players, you can't stand in their way.
Not just. I mean, the club, but I mean, with all the good, I love the area and stuff. But if you've got a chance to go, is it someone who isn't a Newcastle fan? Obviously, I would be Newcastle and all that. But someone who's from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, as it happens, is Bruno.
It was Fabinho that came on.
It was one of them. Is he?
Was
yeah, Fabinho rather than Firmino.
That one.
That's right. Fabinho. Yeah.
If you Rafinha at Leeds, if around Leeds going, I could be in Barcelona. Like with all the goodwill in the world, Leeds. The same with Bruno at Newcastle. Looking around Newcastle's a beautiful city. Leeds, a nice city. But you think like I could be in Madrid. Like you would do it, aren't you? Someone with no ties to the area, other than as a professional footballer for a little while.
If you're given the option to sign for somebody like Real, Barcelona, Milan, Juventus, these are big, huge names in world football. You're going in, and look, you as much as I don't want it to happen, you can't stand in his way for a team like that coming in for you. Then, but that's almost like where you want to be Newcastle to be a stepping stone
to a certain degree,
to that level. Whereas in the past we've been worried about we're a stepping stone for people going to Crystal Palace, going to Leicester, Jose Perez, that kind of thing. There's levels, and that is the ultimate level within world football at the minute to go to them types of clubs.
Because Bruno is going to leave one day, like when he retires, if he gets injured and has to sadly go. If
that's in like 15 years when he's retiring, though. Yeah,
in 3-4 years' time, if we aren't, if he's been sold the Champions League for Newcastle to come. And we are still like where we are, our 5th, 6th, whatever. 3 or 4 years' time, he'll be 27, 28, going like, I'll have to move at some point. So it's gonna, but we're a long way away from being that level at the minute. We probably never will be, really. In spite of
it'll take a long time.
Yeah, but yeah, like you say, I'd rather be a stepping stone for the very, very best than for like someone fighting relegation or fighting the state
or even a side move.
What you would consider a sideways move, yeah.
I mean, that's when you look at some of the great players that we've had in the Premier League. They've left some of the big clubs. Ronaldo obviously left Man United. He's gone to play for Juventus, play for Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. Gareth Bale went to Real Madrid. All of these kind of things. He was bizarre. He was a good player.
Julian Forbe.
Liked him. But that's, as a footballer, that's what you want to do. You want to achieve these things in your career. So I wouldn't hold it against them at all. But I want that to be a long way off. And if he can get a move like that, that means he's played bloody well, and we've benefited from that.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point. Yeah,
right, good on him.
I'm going to fly through some more of these questions. So this one is from Baz. Says, I read Besty, Mark, and the other guy. It's me. Says, if a good offer came in for Wilson with his injury record and how much a good bit of business the sale of Carroll turned out, would you cash in?
I mean, what
is a good price for Wilson?
Let's be honest. What do we pay? 25? 20, 25?
That's what I've got in mind. I think that, to be honest with you.
It depends who you bring in.
For a man who's a couple of years older, he's had injuries. He hasn't played for however many since Christmas. I think it was a Man City game, actually. Might be the last game he played. Maybe it's Man U. I think if you get back what you paid for him, and it sounds weird because I really like Wilson as well. It
just shows you how far the clubs came since
the
start of the season. That we're now thinking, if you can get a replacement for Callum Wilson, you bring them in straight away.
And they are looking,
and that's just solely down the injury record. That's it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got no.
We're huge Wilson fans, but injury record, you need a player that's on the field.
I mean, he's been massive. Without Wilson, we'd have been even this season. Well, not the points we've got since Howe came in, but it would have found things a lot harder this season last without Wilson.
Got injured against Man U.
I think he's still the second top goal scorer this season.
I think he's top.
Might be actually still be top.
I think he's top. He's got 6, 7.
6, I think it is.
But yeah, I think if you get 25 to 30, given it again, he's 2 years older than when we bought him. He's had the injuries. You think, well, that's probably.
I honestly think we'd struggle to get back the money we paid for him at the minute.
So on the back of just because we're talking about Wilson's
injuries,
there's a question here from Jace that is, all right, lads, if Wilson had remained fit for the entire season, how many goals do you think he'd be on? He's doubling what he's got.
He's over 15
Something
for me. Like.
I think so as well. I think 15 or so. I think you said on here, Kris, a few weeks ago, like the way Wilson plays as opposed to Wood, like he gets in the channels and he gets chances that way. I think we are. I think he's a better player than Wood. I like Wood. Don't get us wrong. His first touch, God. But yeah, Wilson. I think 15 or so, and I think we are comfortably top half. Not to say 6, 7, but
he'd relish playing in that team.
I think so as well. Like I think
the way he just plays those little slide rule passes and stuff like that.
It just shows you if you had a fully fit Wilson. I know we went on that 9-game unbeaten run, but I think with Wilson in the team, despite how good Wood done in that 9 games, you're picking up more points.
I think it's weird because you play differently, don't you? So maybe we'll be a bit more open and therefore not
He's just more clinical, isn't he?
He is more clinical. You know what it is? We're talking about this now, and I'm kind of talking myself around to maybe keeping him.
I'm keeping him.
Oh yeah, we're kind of off. Well, I don't know. It's a funny one because I think we talked about this the other week where how you look at how Liverpool and Man City play without a striker, without that kind of focal point up front. If that's what Howe wants to do, and I think we seem to think that was what he would try and do. Wilson becomes a substitute, like an impact player almost. Because I don't think he's the kind of, or maybe he is good enough to kind of peel off and play on the wing a little bit. I remember we had a really good.
Well, he played out on the right
Graham Jones
for a while.
Came in. He had like Miggy through the middle, and he would. So yeah, maybe he is capable. I'd rather keep him. I'd improve on him, but keep him. But I think anything from 25 up.
And Tobias says, I said it a few times, but some of the chances that we've had, Wilson would have buried.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I feel as if there's a lot of the chances that we're getting in the phone of the likes of Saint and Chris Wood and Almiron, and they're so weak. They're not even testing the goalkeeper, where the goalkeeper just takes a step and he thanks. That's mine.
There was a couple of
there
was a couple of shockers from Saint Maximin on Saturday, like where he just, I don't know, he just scuffs at them or just gets no connection whatsoever on the ball.
Bizarre, isn't it? When you think how good he is on the ball,
he just kind of hit it.
Strike it.
He can, but
or if he does,
often doesn't.
It's weird, isn't it? I don't know whether he's just overstretching because he's trying to keep. He's got that ball in front of him on the dribble, and he's just not then
maybe
close enough to his feet to hit it, or what. But
it's strange. It's strange. But then, like, again, going back to the Wilson v Wood thing, like Wood, he's been a big part of how they play.
How do you think they'll play together? I know that takes a whole dynamic.
It's weird because you don't often see two strikers.
Shearer and Les.
I think, 25 years ago now, that one. Torre Andre Flo and Kevin Phillips.
4 fucking 2.
It would probably have to be, unless you play Willips. Wilson Phillips. Hold on. It's a tune, that one.
Absolutely fantastic song.
Unless you play Wilson on one of the flanks, maybe he's not a winger, is he? But you could maybe just have him on the right, St. Maximin on the left, Wood through the middle. Because we've seen Wood kind of cover on the flanks as well.
I think it's a scenario that's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
I'd like to see him stay, but I'd still want to bring in ideally another senior striker and another young'un as well.
Have you watched that hoodie yet, Mark?
I haven't.
Just because you got the Kris down the sun.
No, I ironed it. No, I didn't.
Did you watch that, hoodie? Right, let's go through the rest of them because we've nearly been going an hour. This one is from Helen Whittaker that says, who do you think's going down?
Norwich.
Said Little Arms had a canny game for a change yesterday. So Pickford had a fantastic game yesterday.
Brilliant.
You saved one of them with his face, like.
If it stays out, it stays
Stays
out.
out.
That's what a goalkeeper's there for.
It does. He had an absolute blinder against
How
Chelsea.
often did Schmeichel come out and just make himself big?
Mm.
And that's if it hits your face and it goes out, then you've saved it.
That was a huge result for them yesterday,
Massive.
wasn't
Massive. I think Leeds.
it? Leeds, I think now, yeah. Which I did, in all honesty, call it the start of the season, didn't I?
But I'm
I said
doubling
they would
down.
go down, but
If Everton go down, I take Pickford.
I want it to be Everton.
Oh, I do.
That's the
Not 'cause I want Pickford.
that's
I want
the dream. Get them down, but
I just like Leeds being in the Premier League.
Mm.
There's something right about it. But then Everton have been there since like 53 or whatever it is. Like,
yeah,
so.
but the Scrolls.
Nah,
Mina
there's-
as well.
There's good and bad. He's a
I
swine,
hate
him.
him.
Like,
Him yesterday, see him
aye.
with Havertz.
He's
He's
a-
a right
he's a
prick,
bugger,
isn't
isn't
he?
Remember,
What do you reckon that happened to Carlson by chucking that
The
smoke
flare
bomb?
smoke bomb thing.
I've seen someone say that the area that he threw it in didn't have any fans in.
No,
Did you
that's-
see the
that's
force
rubbish.
that he put in that though?
But I think he just threw it. Yeah.
Somebody also said he threw it into the stand and it went into a section that was empty that had a bucket of sand and it landed on it.
I saw one.
He threw
no,
it at Trumpton.
There's one. Apparently, they're doubling down and saying that he was trying to get it out of the stadium. That's how I read.
He's literally just pelted it back in, hasn't he?
It's from the
I don't
angle
think-
I've seen. Apparently, there is an empty section where he aims towards, but
Doesn't
where
get
the
in.
camera angle goes, it looks like it's going in a lot of
Doesn't get
people.
in.
That
I don't.
You
It's
think
not,
it's fine?
it isn't a flare, is it? So it's not. It's
Well,
literally just
it's not-
powder.
it's
It's
not
just
chucking an
powder
object-
coming out.
It's
Is
just
it?
an
it's
object back in the fans.
It's not Carragher throwing a coin back in the crowd, is it? Like it's
Throwing a what?
coin back in the crowd. Remember
Coin.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fucking pelted that in as well.
What,
yeah.
what do you think it'll be? Do you reckon it'll just be a fine?
He's no, it's going to happen, is it?
What happened to that Liverpool player?
He'll be tooled off.
I think he got a fine.
Harry
Coming back. What
It was Harvey Elliott, wasn't it?
Harvey Elliott?
Okay.
But he was on the field holding it to celebrate.
Yeah.
Because it chucks it back in.
To be honest, I don't think he's thrown it in out of kind of bat. He's just thrown it in because it was there.
Yeah.
He hasn't like trying to hurt anybody, but he kind of do it, can he? So I don't know. It's a weird
His own
thing.
fans at the end of the day, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It is a belting photograph that's been taken.
It's a
of him.
great
When
photo.
he picked, I thought, fuck, that's going to look amazing. Just not him.
Yeah.
I wish it'd been Andros.
He's a knobhead, isn't he?
He's a swine.
That's why Everton need to go down. It's full of pricks.
I'll take him.
Would you?
Oh,
I
fucking
probably would.
Richarlison. Well, yeah,
I would as well.
absolutely.
I just can't
I
get
don't.
over
I don't necessarily
being a
like him
horrible
playing
twat.
for another team, but I think if you put him in a half decent side, he's gonna
He's
be a
just
fun.
not a nice
he'll be
person.
he might be a lovely person
What-
off the football.
He's
field.
a shithouse.
We supported Joey
An
Well,
Barton.
absolute
we love
shithouse.
We
shit
supported
houses.
Joey Barton at Newcastle.
We love shit houses when they play for us.
I just don't
If he's
like
in black
him
and
at
white
all.
stripes, we look at him in different.
We always say that. I haven't got enough shit houses. We're too nice. We're too.
But he's a
Cabai
cheating,
wasn't nice.
He's a cheating shithouse.
They all are, man.
Oh, I just-
Might as well be one who's good. If you're
So
going
to
to
be
get.
fair, as much as I like Almiron, Almiron takes a dive.
Sure, you all do.
Would you describe Almiron as a cheat?
yes.
You always say that red card for Paraguay a couple of years ago.
He's
Almiron.
he's a lot better than he used to be. He's grown out of that a bit now, hasn't he? He's not like that was that South American MLS that he brought with him, wasn't it?
He's still got it with him, mate. He's still got it with him.
I'll take Richarlison. Like I don't like Gordon. Wouldn't have him because getting the bin.
He's good as well.
Yerry
isn't he?
Mina.
Teammate of Bruno as well.
Mina's
a prick. I cannot stand him.
Of course, I don't.
It's just that whole Everton team is just
not all of them.
they're just very unlikable.
Seamus Coleman seems all right. Andros,
Everton hate him.
Rondon.
Their own fans hate him.
Well, he must be all right then.
Right, let's go through the rest of them. This one is from Josh Stockton. Thanks, Josh. Thanks very much for your donation as well. It says, hey lads, hope you are all well. Disappointing we weren't able to get a result on Saturday, but after a couple of days to reflect, I'm just glad we put up a fight. I'm grateful we have a new manager, new owners now, onwards and upwards. On the back of that as well, Newcastle looked to be pointing another member of the backroom staff as well, a Blackburn Rovers employee.
Yes.
So I do have his name if I can grab it.
It's a very sensible, grounded opinion from Josh, that though, wasn't it?
It is Liam Mason.
photos
So
on
he's
Saturday.
currently
He played
Blackburn
with us,
Rovers head of athletic performance. So it's another bum on seat.
Do I have one of those at the minute?
Probably not.
did
Probably
he
it was
not
Lee
bring,
Charlie. Probably.
No, did he not? Did Eddie Cow not bring in like a
He brought.
sports scientist type role? Didn't he?
Oh, that was very.
I know.
Steve Bruce.
That
Sport
made up
scientist.
title. What is a sport?
No, but I don't know if that's he's proper.
You don't do that.
I
every
don't know why
time.
I'm doing it. I don't know if that was his official title, but it was that type of role, wasn't it? Sports science.
Do you reckon he's going to bring another relative of another famous person in? Because obviously Alan Carr is the son of Graham Carr, who was
Yeah.
and we've got Stevie Nick's son as well, currently on a scouting.
So who else we're going to bring in?
Stevie Nick's the.
Stevie Nick's son.
Oh no!
I've just got what you said there.
You actually got me for
I
a
know.
second. I was like, Stevie Nick's sons. I'm like, what, Stevie Nick's? Oh, dear me, Bestie.
I've got that. I thought that yesterday. I thought I was going to try and fit that in somewhere. And then,
Well played.
but yeah, I think it's something that the kind of since the club was bought and they said, yeah, we're going to do a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm going to kind of put the money in. It's because I move around so much.
Yeah, it's proper wonky now. Like.
Proper wonky. But they brought in like they're talking about moving the training ground.
It'll fall down in a couple of days.
Probably, I'm surprised that's not already actually.
I just nearly took the wall down with it.
The thing with this, the Dan fella from Dan Walton? No, from Brighton.
Dan Wooten from the Sun.
No.
Not him.
What's he called? Dan
Ashworth.
Ashworth. Yeah, so that they're looking at improving the backroom side, the kind of the sports science area of things.
I think he's a technical director.
He's not a proper football man.
Sporting director.
He's not a proper fucking football man, is he? But no, I'm all for it. I've got no idea if this bloke's any good. I have to go on Football Manager and see how many 20s he's got.
I want to have the lot. Free kick specialist, throw-in specialist. Who was it that's got a throw-in specialist? Is it Liverpool?
It's Mick Fleetwood's dad.
I'm not going there. I'm not even going there. Not even going there.
He's got that chuckle back. Right, just a few more things to touch on before we wrap it up. Callum Lewis mentions Julian on scrap, Robertson and Miller on Saturday. Julian on just getting himself involved in every little bit of scrap that's on the field. I love it.
How veiny his legs are.
What?
How veiny Julian's
not
legs are.
varicose veins.
Nah.
Fucking really?
He's ripped, mate. That's why.
He's got
pure adrenaline running through his veins.
It's mad. It's like I can't even. You know when they put that serum in Bruce Banner, and he's like, it's like that. It's like his legs are like that.
I thought you said syrup.
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 One of the things I wanted to mention as well, just before we do go, is yesterday's match at St James's Park. So NUFC women,
the ladies,
NUFC women were there, and nearly 23,000 fans it was. Unbelievable.
Excellent, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. I took my two boys there, and it was a bit of a mockery in regards to the cash turnstiles. I'm not going to lie. They were expecting about 10,000.
I was going to say, I think
going to get more than that.
That's what it was. It just kind of caught them a bit by surprise, didn't it? How many people actually came.
They opened the East Stand first, then I started queuing for the East Stand, and the fella just came over, obviously worked for the club, and said, "Oh, they've just opened the Leazers, so you'll get straight in." I walked around the Leazers, and the queue was twice as long, so I had to come back to the East Stand and got into the East Stand. Then guess where they made us walk to?
The Gallowgates or the Leazers?
The Leazers. So we had just been. So it was a bit of a mockery, that, but the atmosphere in the ground was great, and to see war flags there as well.
Yeah, I was lush. That like really good touch. Like,
it was really, really.
How are the lasses? Yeah. That was a nice touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's great to see what I'm going to say this every single week, but part of this football club, which was just put to one side. Well, the ladies' football wasn't even part of Newcastle United until not long ago. But once again, the owners just hit it out of the park.
You know what I love? The photo.
Oh God!
See what I mean?
If people are listening, Bessie just put a photo of Julian on thigh on the table.
Even his shins and his calves.
Glad you said shins.
That's not normal.
Right, what do you love, Bestie?
The photo that I did after the game, and it's something that's I wasn't that keen on the photo of all the owners with the team
being in it
that week. Okay. It was something I thought, keep that.
For the players.
I want to support the team. I'm quite happy with Manastavian and Murda Gudusi. Seem to be doing a really good job.
You're doing a good job. They're doing a good job. Stay away from each other.
Yeah, because that's where the line between the whole sports washing, like Luke's wrote an article about it a while ago, and people jump on his. I think there's validity in the arguments that have been made against it. But this one, Amanda Stavries, and she's sitting on the floor.
Yeah,
and there's something in her sitting on the floor that I think I love that, and I don't know if it's like
she's normal.
It's and she's not. Because she's the owner, she's worth all this money and stuff like that, owns a football. But that's like, I kind of put into words like that's class. That
it humanizes it, doesn't it?
I think
makes
it's very
like,
much so.
She is just wants to be
part
of every part of this club, and
it might just be incredible PR, but like little details like that, I think that's that's great. And then you can see what the lasses got out of it as well. I've seen loads of them on Twitter over the past few days. And you see interviews of them they've been really like effusive about, it's been wonderful and all that. Like, and obviously the lasses aren't going to be playing at St James's Park every game, but I think we've mentioned it on here before. Like, surely the training ground is going to have a facility that they can use, because quite often
So I think it was mentioned first that the senior men's team will be going to this new complex that they'll be building, but then the academy and the women's side will be moving to where the senior team currently play. But I think that's been knocked on the head straight away and said that they want a big complex where everybody's involved.
I saw someone the other week say that they're looking at just over the road from the airport. I've got no idea.
Well, I'd mentioned that a while ago,
like,
behind the airport, because it's actually where the ladies play at the moment.
Yeah,
like around there. So
there's plenty of space. There's plenty of space in the north. Of course, there is.
Sure, it's still owned by John Hall as well. All that land.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned a couple of seasons back. About buying that land back off him, but God knows.
Surely Jamie Rubens, he owns half the city, doesn't he? He's going to have he's going to know,
of course,
who owns.
Well, that's why the race course was mentioned, because that's owned by the Rubens.
Yeah, we've got spot as well. That'll be Gosforth.
One of the things I did want to mention was quite funny. When I went to the game yesterday with my two young ones, they loved it. They got to wave a couple of flags as well, so they were buzzing, to be fair, and actually saw some goals as well.
My flag broke on Saturday.
Oh, sorry about that, mate.
Just bent over.
He looked so upset.
Had an L-shaped flag.
Which one was it?
Black and white stripy one.
That's
one of those ones. Yeah, I've seen
that's
that.
what they had. But yeah, I had two I would say middle-aged women behind us, and they knew the basics of Newcastle.
Besty's younger sister.
They knew the basics of Newcastle, but I had to bite my tongue so much. They were sat obviously in the leasers, and they're going, "Oh, these are like the most expensive seats in the ground and stuff like that." You don't know. Like, this is the most expensive because you get to see behind the goal and like the full side of the field. I see. You need to check the prices, look, because the East Stand is absolutely ripping people's eyeballs out at the moment.
The centre section of the leasers is expensive, like.
I
don't know. I think it must be a sports bar, but that middle centre tier.
I was there for a few. Remember Northampton in the League Cup? De Jong and I think Tovan scored.
Yes, it was his debut.
You kind of go across like a walkway above the bar and stuff like that. Like, and it's that was £15 a ticket at that game. But yeah, I think that is comes across as being quite a plush, quite a pleasant.
Just
area.
that it's only that section in the leasers than the rest. I think so. Normal price.
There's chick kickers like us.
Aye, cheapest ones going. Cheapest seats going for us, lads.
Please.
Well, almost the cheapest.
But it's good. Another good thing about like having the lasses there yesterday, and like you say, you took the boys. How many kids who aren't ordinarily going to get to go to a game on Saturday? Like younger kids, because it costs a lot of money, or it's just that busy, or parents might be a bit apprehensive about taking. I mean, my kids are far too young in a minute, but like taking a child to a football match because it's.
Testosterone flying around.
Yeah, but there again, having said that, it's not as if it was any worse now than it was 30 years ago when we started going out.
Oh, it's a lot better than those days.
When
you used to in the 20s.
Well, the rationing.
I took
after the war.
I took my two to the cup game, the Cambridge one.
Yes.
Who got beat. And there was a bloke behind us and completely different. He was just swearing all the way through it. And I had
sorry about
that. Devo would have been 5. So then when we're in the car driving to St. James Park, you see, Dad, remember that man that just kept on swearing behind us? I was like, it won't be like that today, son. Don't worry about that.
I'll try and, because Amy's, my wife's from Cheshire, and she's not not from a football family out like that. Like, so I think the day Alfie comes back from his first game and goes, "Oh man, what's it? What's a wanker? What's it that been saying now?"
Oh, you met Taylor. Sorry, Taylor. Right, so that's us done. Thanks everybody who has tuned in tonight. It's been a pleasure as always. Is there anything that you want to?
We haven't been going long enough.
We have been going for over an hour now.
Really?
Yes.
Sorry, past 9 now.
Anything you want to add before we wrap this one up?
No, it's nice. Time flies when Decker's not here.
No,
there will be, but I can't think about
Okay. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you in the week for more match previews, extra time, and God knows whatever else. Thank you. See you later.
Love you. Bye.